every stage. We had a bunch of questions to ask you, but you've answered everything, really. Yeah, everything, I think. Apart from lighting, there was just something I want to ask about lighting in Town Called Mercy. It looked like it was all natural lighting that was going. Was it? At the start.
All the exteriors are natural lighting with a few fat guys holding some reflector boards. The interiors are all shot in Cardiff.
Right.
In the studio. And actually, I think the cameraman did a really nice job, because when I look back at it, I actually can't remember that we shot the interiors in Cardiff. You know, I mean, but I just believe it. I'm very innocent like that, even the stuff I've made.
Well,
actually, the first film I ever made, there was a plot twist in it, and when I shot the film, we assembled it, I watched it for the first time, I was like, oh my God, did that happen? And I shot it, so I am the perfect audience. just buy it.
That's good, because as you were telling the story of how these were made, you were being very technical and saying 2 shot, close shot, whatever. So I was just wondering whether you did see your work like that, or whether you could sit back and enjoy it. But maybe you can.
No, I'm just a really good audience. I mean, I instantly buy it. I don't watch enough telly. That's the problem. It all just looks convincing to me.
Well, like films, so that doesn't explain it, I think.
I was going to ask. I've certainly detected a certain fairy tale element to the Stephen Moffat time on Doctor Who. Did they come to you with that kind of brief, or is that something you kind of drew from it yourself?
You know, it's funny, because I think it's quite romantic, and I think it's quite. I think it's romantic. It's quite girly, Doctor Who. I mean that in a nice way, in a good way. I think it's actually. I remember one of the things that me and Nick Curran were talking about, is that all episodes have got to have a little heartwarming moment. And actually, you sort of look at it as sort of sci-fi, or sort of comedy sci-fi, or sort of adventure drama thing. But actually, it's quite sweet, you know. And one of the nice things with certainly that Doctor's character is he's an innocent. He's like a genius, but he's also like a 13-year-old boy, and he's just sort of experiencing it all in wonder, in a funny way. And I think the whole thing's quite romantic. You know, I'm serious when I show that sequence from Singing in the Rain. That is what is in my head about what that is. It's not like, I don't think I'm trying to do anything, change Doctor Who from what it is. I think that's already there, and I think it works. But it's you know, I wouldn't go and I don't go and look at other episodes and say I want to do it like that. I'll think that's the story.
I think that's prevalent, definitely. I mean, when we were talking earlier, one of the first things I said to you was, there's a lot of camera movement. There's lots, all the way through, all of your stuff. Standing still people, moving cameras, which is very filmic. And not so in the Russell T Davies era, when I thought, I think I'm right in saying there's a lot of static camera work going on. So you kind of...
Yeah, but I mean, there's certainly a few directors in Doctor Who who move the camera a lot more than others. And certainly when I first started, I was speaking to Stephen Moffat, and he sort of pointed me in several episodes in Series 6, and again they were all more fluid. There were ones directed by Toby Haynes and ones directed by Nick Curran, and I think they had just a little bit more of a dance to them. I like that way of shooting. It's not. It's also something for a director, and you just say, I'll have the camera in the corner, and then we'll cut some close-ups. Why get up in the morning? I mean, you have to do something that challenges you. The other thing is, that crew is incredibly good on Doctor Who. There's a grip called Gary the Grip. I don't think it's his real name, but his name's Gary the Grip. I think it's another surname, but I don't know what it is. And there's a guy called Joe Russell who's the camera operator, and between the two of them and Matt Smith, it's so easy to get fluidity. And also Matt moves around a lot. He doesn't stand still, and sometimes when you've got a scene where you have no idea how to direct it, Matt comes on, and he's talking to you, and he's moving around. And you go, oh great, the camera can go there. And he's not even doing it deliberately, he's just moving as he talks. But there's something about him, and it's something with Gene Kelly, who I never worked with, of course, but they just move in a way that cameras like them. It's actually incredibly easy to direct Matt Smith. He finds angles accidentally, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so he directs himself, basically.
That's a bit harsh. No, he doesn't, because he doesn't necessarily know the angles he's making, and then you have to devise things around the angles he's making and the story it's telling. But I mean, he's too good at it for it to be conscious. You know, he's just got a natural. He's a dancer. There's something he can move, and he gets shapes form. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. In that aspect, he's the best actor I ever worked with. I mean, he's absolutely amazing. He's like a weird thing. And I don't think he's a weird thing. I mean, his talent is a weird thing. It's really something special. I mean, you know, a lot of the times when you're directing people who are not as good at that stuff, you know, actor just stands there, and you're like, well, maybe you should like move over there. Well, why? You know? It's just like, well, because. And the answer is because it'll just be better. But you can't really say that. But Matt, he's got it. And actually, you know, what's her name? Karen is very good at it too, actually.
You find that, I mean, you've worked with big people. You've worked with John Hurt now.
I haven't.
On Name the Doctor at the end? That wasn't you. Sorry.
I can't tell you a lot of the story because it's all secret. But suffice to say, I shot all of it except for the moment that John Hurt turned around. I've never met John Hurt.
I thought that was your trademark, kind of, you know, turning around to the camera.
Well, no. I shot all of it, including the back of his head, except for whose face it was.
Right. Okay.
And to say it's planned less in advance than you might hope it is, is about all I can say about it. It might not have been him turning around had things played differently.
But you did work with Richard E. Grant twice. And, you know, his acting in that, he's playing a baddie.
Yeah.
Did you have to direct him and say, don't go over the top, or less is more, or what did you say to him?
Combination
yeah.
of these things. Yeah, I mean, again, one of the nice and easy things with Doctor Who is people generally know what it's about. I mean, I'm sorry, I have no idea what it's about, sorry. They generally know the feeling of it. Yeah. And so I think it's not like people coming into some show they've never seen. And it actually makes it tonally easier. It doesn't mean that everyone gets it right. But they do know what the program is, and actually that goes all the way through everyone making it. You never have a sort of tone argument about what it's about because you know people are so familiar with that program. But yeah, you sort of have to balance it up and down a bit. The other thing is, of course, if you have a show that the lead guy is so good, everybody sort of falls into line when they see what he's doing. Again, I think that's. But I only worked with Matt. I never worked with David Tennant or anyone, so I only know Doctor Who as Matt Smith.
Energy-wise, then, the episodes that you've done. I mean, Dinosaurs in the Spaceship was filmed first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you feel like the energy was up higher in that episode naturally, and you didn't have to work too hard to get them all going?
Yeah, it's like such a crazy story, Dinosaurs in the Spaceship, that has every opportunity to do every silly thing you ever want to do filming-wise, which is a nice thing to do. And also it was the first one shot of Series 7. We shot that, and then Town Called Mercy, and then they did the Daleks one and the Manhattan one. And so everyone is still awake and alive, and by the time you're doing the Day with the Doctor, Matt Smith's eyes are going in different directions, and he's pretending to be awake and things like this, and you know he's not in. I mean, they do a 9-month shoot. It's really hard work. I mean, it's not difficult to do because it's kind of fun, but physically it's really hellish program to make.
I was going to ask actually, just one episode. How much time do you take on it?
One episode, you shoot it in 12 or 13 days. But in truth, nobody finishes it in 12 or 13 days. You always have there's always little pickups you have to do and things like this. Douglas McKinnon claims to have shot one in 12. It's like totally, completely untrue. And you can quote me on that if you mean. And yeah, it's as I say, you kind of manage to do 2 minutes every morning, and then you hurry up in the afternoon. But it's very, very tough. A Christmas episode is shot in 21, I think. It's a little easier, but it's really fast. I mean, you have these brilliant ideas, and then you suddenly see the schedule, and you just go, you know, I'll have an hour to shoot that scene. So it's tough.
Series 7. As far as we know, it was designed to be like a Phonic series, with each episode essentially being like a movie. Is that how you got the gig, as such? Due to your directorial, your style of
the film directing as well?
I don't really know. I met with the producers and somehow convinced them that I knew what I was doing.
I mean, also to say you were second unit director on Dredd. Dredd 2012. Have you
as opposed to the Sylvester Stallone, which I fortunately didn't do. I have a capacity for I've done a lot of stuff with VFX. I have a capacity for killing people. Dredd killed millions of people, and I've just been doing a second unit on a submarine film where I drowned millions of people, blew them up and things like that.
What does the second unit director do?
Second unit director tends to either do very VFX heavy stuff, or tends to do big action sequences. So, like on Dredd, I did the bike chase at the beginning, and I did a lot of people getting killed. In a way, a program like Doctor Who would be useful if you did have a proper second unit, but somehow in television they don't do it. But it's like on a really big film, like on a Terminator or something like that, the second unit is probably bigger than the main unit, because it's when you do the technical, difficult stuff that you don't really need actors for. So, for example, you do a lot of stuff with stuntmen in second unit, or car chases, or massive explosions, or I only wanted to make romantic comedies. Blowing innocent people in Megacity 1.
So what is your favourite film then? Is it Singing in the Rain?
No, that's my favourite shot. I think Bertolucci film Conformist, but it doesn't it's not quite the same as Doctor Who.
And we've got it here today.
No, but I think that funny thing is you bring everything you know to filming something. I don't think I think when you do something like direct, it's incredibly eclectic. I mean, the number of times you've sort of seen the shot before, and it's just in your memory bank of a way of doing something. We do that all the time, and you find you've stolen from things all the time. And I'm not even sure it's stealing anymore. It's just you're just regurgitating.
Well, the Town Called Mercy again. I mean, it's a western, isn't it?
It is.
So did you just go and look at all the westerns and go, well, we might as well have that shot of the clock tower and?
No, I tell you the funny thing. This is a very interesting question now, because you don't really have, as long as you know the westerns anyway, what you find is you reinvent something somebody's already invented. Because actually, if for example you're a small town in a desert, inevitably you shoot shots where you look out to the desert but the characters are quite close, and that's such a standard western shot where you see the character like this with a long vista. Likewise, deserts are flat, so you end up doing a lot of tracking, and you actually don't have to go and steal. These things already worked out for a good reason. I mean, some of it in directing is discovery as opposed to invention. And I think with a western, you come across the safety. So that's why Sergio Leone was really good at that, because he already worked that out. You don't have to be. Yeah, I did watch a lot of westerns when I made it. I think with that one, the more difficult problem is how you make a western that's Doctor Who. Because I think there's probably a pace difference. Westerns are much slower than Doctor Who, and so Town Called Mercy, successful or not, has to do a hybrid thing with the rhythm of the story, which I think is tricky. I think that's tricky.
And how was it to direct Susan?
Susan was very temperamental. Horses are really tiresome to direct. They're really disobedient. They don't have a large range of expressions. They're very, very bad at resetting. So anything you have to do, they're probably only one step not as difficult as a Dalek. Horses are terrible. I've just been directing. The BBC, in their wisdom, decided they have to make another version of the Three Musketeers because it hasn't been made for nearly a fortnight. And so I was directing, and that's just tons of men on horses, and horses really, honestly.
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi he's the evil cardinal, and he kept asking me questions about Doctor Who. Hell, why would he care so much? He is a big Doctor Who fan, actually. That's genuine. He kept asking me questions about it, and of course I'm not that smart, and I didn't work out what it was about. I think it's a very clever choice. The only thing is, Doctor Who's physically very tough, and I think, and the likes of Matt Smith, who's like one of these ever-ready, bunnies in the. Peter he's going to have a crucial. God, this is tough. It's really hard work. So, but I think he's very good at it. I think it'll be fun. But I do think it's clever. I don't think they could have found a third guy in the same vein as David or Matt. I do think they struck gold with Matt, and I don't think it's a striking gold twice like that is.
I've got one more question, and I'm going to open up to the audience. I was going to say, ask you about surprises on set. If you have a surprise, because obviously you're the director, you're in charge, but something happens. And then I overheard you say something about the robots and dinosaurs.
Yeah, I could start coming up with any number of stories where things didn't go quite as you thought they would. The robots and dinosaurs, the first scene we shot with them is inside Solomon's spaceship, which is about 6'4" high or something like that. The night the robots turn up, they're like 8-foot robots. And nobody thought to tell me that they were 8-foot robots. And it was that same thing as the Daleks, it's just like, and the robots are like this. And actually, when you look at these scenes in the Solomon spaceship with the robots, you'll notice, only now you'll notice because I've told you, but the robots are not wearing their lower half. So they're much, much shorter than they actually are on the outside. But it made these fantastic photographs of these massive robots with the little spindly dancer's legs. And they're much shorter. But that's a typical kind of thing that happens on a show like that. It's just too many elements that can go wrong. There's too many problems you can have with explosions of smoke machines, or the fact that nobody told you the robots were 8 foot high, or, any number of things, the fact that a thing doesn't look very good when you run along a beach with it. And so with the tight schedule, you also build in the fact that there's just going to be a few horrible things happen every day where you just kind of go, like this, and the robots were.
Yeah. Right, any questions?